Welcome to our April 3rd, 2014 Youth Gilbert Town Council meeting. For those who are watching this on Channel 11 or over the internet, Student Government Days every year bring some of our finest of Gilbert to Town Hall, and they, who you will see in a few minutes, have been simulating various positions in our town government, and today we are having a town council meeting. Where behind me in just a few minutes we will introduce our mayor and town council, and they have lots of individuals who now are prepared for this council meeting. Before we get started, I wanted to say thank you for coming. Thank you to our town leaders for helping in your roles the last 2 days in giving direction and guidance, and also helping the simulation process. And we probably got a lot of good thoughts and ideas from our youth leadership team, didn't we? So thank you. To our youth leaders, also wanted to make this comment that this is not an end of Student Government Days. In many ways, this is the beginning. And for each of you, you will find in your communities that you're needed, and we need you to be engaged, and your thoughts and ideas and what you'll do in your future communities as far as leadership is needed. I know on a personal basis, and I've shared this in some of our prior meetings, that it was in high school that there was a history teacher that pulled me into an opportunity to learn more about how the government worked, which opened an opportunity in my college environment to take an internship back in Washington, D.C. And so I don't know exactly where everyone will go. I do know that we have a wonderful mayor, and I give full support to you, and the council's behind you too, and the town leadership, and it will be a wonderful council meeting. And so on behalf of the town of Gilbert, thank you for coming. Welcome. Enjoy your council meeting. Thanks.
Welcome, everyone. I will now call to order Student Government Days Council meeting of April 3rd, 2014. Councilwoman Young, if you would please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Town Manager, if you would please conduct the roll call.
Mayor Mahoney.
Present.
Councilmember Cervantes.
Here.
Councilmember Lee.
Present.
Councilmember Martinez.
Present.
Councilmember Durrani.
Here.
Councilmember Cottle.
Here.
Councilmember Schifo.
Present.
A quorum is present.
Thank you. We will now move on to agenda item number 1, the selection of vice mayor. I will now entertain the motion for nominations of vice mayor.
Madam Mayor, I would like to make a nomination. I nominate Colton Cottle.
Are there any additional nominations?
Madam Mayor, I would like to make a nomination. I nominate Councilmember Schifo.
I will now accept the motion to close nominations.
I'll second it.
I will now call for a vote by a show of hands. Those of you that vote for Councilman Cottle, please raise your hand. Thank you. And those of you that vote for Councilwoman Schifo, please raise your hand. By 4 to 3, Councilwoman Schifo is now Vice Mayor Schifo. Thank you. We will now move on to agenda item number 2. Items 3 through 11 will be heard at one public hearing, at which time anyone wishing to comment on a public hearing item may do so. Comments will be heard from those in support of or in opposition to an item. Hearings are noticed for 9:30 a.m. and may be held prior to the estimated time indicated on the agenda. In order to comment on a public hearing item, you must fill out a public comment form indicating the item number on which you would wish to be heard. Once the hearing is closed, there will be no further public comments unless requested by a member of the council. We will now move on to agenda item number 2, Code of Gilbert. Conduct hearing and consider adoption of an ordinance amending the Code of Gilbert to change the curfew. We will now hear the staff report, please.
Hi. All right. So for staff report for number 2, we have the presiding judge the police chief, and the police commander. Please come up to the stand. Podium.
Hello. So I believe that we should not decrease the curfew time because the curfew, I think right now the curfew is enough and there shouldn't be a decrease in curfew, because if there was, a lot more cases of substance abuse would be known, and there would be more cases of substance abuse, and it would be an increase in more cases that are coming to the courts. Thank you.
If the staff representatives can state their name and occupation, that would be great. And the department that you represent.
Good morning, Mayor, council members. I'm Police Chief Hunter Henderson.
I'm Police Commander Taylor Templeton.
On behalf of the police department, it is our advice that the curfew remains the same. We have seen that the curfew reduces youth victimization, denying non-delinquent youth the opportunity to become acquainted with delinquent youth, and really just keeping them safe, keeping them off the streets at night, and keeping them out of harm's way. It is not our youth, the non-delinquent youth, that we are worried about. It is the others out there who may seek to harm them were they to be out at those times. Does the council have any questions?
Madam Mayor, I have a question. What have other municipalities done about this?
Actually, in Dallas, Texas, they adopted this curfew law in 1991 after seeing an increased late-night juvenile violence increase. And so they've seen a decrease in such behavior by delinquent youth, and therefore have seen a decreased amount of undelinquent youth being harmed by the delinquent youth.
Are there any additional questions?
Madam Mayor, may I ask a question? How would you enforce this law?
Well, currently, the curfew law is that anyone under 16, and including 16, curfew is 10 o'clock. For those 16 and 17, the curfew is midnight, whereas those who are 18 adults are considered adults at that point, and they no longer have a curfew. So currently, it's just informing the public and informing the youth of what the curfew laws are, and making sure that parents know when their children need to be home.
Just to add on to that as well, if there's ever someone that's walking the streets or that's out past their curfew, it's usually a $75 fine for that child.
Thank you.
Thank you. Please.
Is there anyone else that has anything to, any other staff member that would like to speak? You may come up to the podium.
Mayor, council members, my name is Albert Godleski and I'm the Economic Development Director. And I would just like to comment that curfews do lead to lower crime rates, and lower crime rates is one of the things that do attract businesses to Gilbert. And so I would suggest that you do keep the curfew, because that is one of the things that makes Gilbert a place to do business, and that will continue to promote business development in Gilbert. And that is all I have to say. Are there any questions?
Thank you. Vice Mayor Chifo, are there any more requests to speak?
Yes, we have 4. Pradisha Terwari will speak first, and Brandon Hornman will speak second.
Councilman, did you want to time the speakers?
3 minutes, please.
Mayor and council members, I'd just like to point out that, excuse me, I'd just like to point out that some argue that criminal behavior is pushed up to occur earlier in the day before the stated curfew time. So curfew time doesn't really have an effect on the violence. Also, curfew laws may or may not be provide a mechanism to bypass controls where a child is coming home from school-related events, a job, or something along similar lines. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have Brandon Hornman, and Kyle Brown will speak next.
Madam Mayor and council members, my name is Brandon Horniman and I'm a Gilbert resident. And this law is a really great law. It holds parents accountable for where their kids are, and it makes teens be responsible for their own behavior, and it teaches them about how to be a responsible teenager. And teen vandalism has actually dropped since this law has been in effect. And police officers are able to do their real job by not having to babysit loitering teenagers outside of businesses. This curfew law reinforces good behavior, and it also has health benefits to teenagers because teenagers need more sleep than others. So teenagers actually need 9.5 hours of sleep, and with this curfew law, they would be getting that amount of sleep. And teenagers should be at home with their parents. And after all, these teenagers are our future, and we want them to be successful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have Kyle Brown, and after him is Connor McBedigan.
Madam Mayor and council members, I'd like to point out that many teens work late-night jobs that prevent them from staying home during the curfew because they're working during that time. And also, many schools have late-night events such as dances, and also there's midnight movies that many teens attend that puts them out during the curfew. Thank you.
Thank you.
And lastly is Connor McBedigan.
Members of the board, Madam Mayor, fellow citizens. My name is Connor McGettigan. I'm a resident of 15 years here in Gilbert, and I currently attend Gilbert Classical Academy. I'm here to talk about how this new curfew ordinance is actually a bad thing. In fact, the majority of those who are currently living in the town or that are out in the town that are youth that are out past their curfew are merely respecting the laws. Oftentimes, they only come to establishments such as movies or food or restaurants and are only merely helping the economy. Yes, rates have dropped, but you're preventing the freedom of those minors that are under 18. This is an issue of the parents. Sections 5 and 6 of Town Ordinance Section 42-143 regarding curfew laws for minors mentions exceptions in the law regarding parent permission. Currently, the Constitution for those under 18 only it grants the rights to citizens to their parents, and therefore this should be extended to in regards to the curfew law. And this is also an issue regarding the 10th Amendment, which quotes, "The powers not delegated to the U.S. by the Constitution nor prohibited by it to the states are reserved to the states respectively or to the people. This is a matter of the people over their children, parents and guardians in particular. Thus, the parents should decide whether or not their children should be out that late." In 2001, with the case of Wilford et al. Versus the municipality of Anchorage, stated that curfew laws are unconstitutional. A quote from the speakers of the Wilford side of the case quoted, quote, "The Anchorage curfew law violated a number of state and federal constitutional rights, including the right to privacy, the right to equal protection of laws, and the right to due process, the First Amendment rights to freedom of speech, freedom of expression, and freedom of assembly, and freedom of association." This law is federally unconstitutional, and due to the fact that it's a misdemeanor, it's never been really brought before the town courts. I'll be up here for any more questions if you have any. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any more requests to speak? The public hearing is now closed, and I will bring this item back to the council for discussion and possible action.
Madam Mayor, I'd like to speak. I feel that this change is not necessary. Gilbert is currently the second safest municipality. It would only reduce the revenue in businesses that get revenue from teens going out late, movie theaters, restaurants, and also the delinquent youth that would violate certain laws like substance abuse are most likely not going to listen to curfew laws anyway, so I don't feel like it would have that much effect.
Thank you. Does anyone else wish to comment on this issue? I will now entertain the motion to vote on this issue.
Madam Mayor, I make a motion to vote.
Make a motion.
I second that.
The motion fails from 5 to 2. We will now move on to agenda item 3 on the agenda, Code of Gilbert. Conduct hearing and consider adoption of an ordinance amending the Code of Gilbert related to bullying. Can we now please hear the staff report?
Mayor and Councilman, we will hear from Communications Director and the Media and Community Relations Administrator. If they can come up to the podium, that would be great.
Good morning, Mayor, Council members. My name is Nikita Naik, and I am the Communications Director. Coming from a communications standpoint, we have decided to create an app that would be available for high school students in Arizona. The capabilities of this app would be for high school students to be able to put anonymous submissions, meaning that whatever issues they may have, or if they feel threatened maybe at their school, they would be able to report that issue on this app. There would be another section that would be kind of titled, Am I Being Bullied? This section would talk about situations in which a student may feel like they're being bullied and maybe to see if they have the same kind of similarities. There would also be resources to get solutions, so kind of like an FAQ section of this app. The way we plan on enforcing this app is to work one-on-one with Gilbert Public Schools so that we could start in Gilbert and then eventually branch it out to the entire state. So this would get this app into the hands of students that need it the most. I'm here for any questions.
Madam Mayor, I would like to ask a question. How would we prevent this system from being abused? Say a kid is very angry at a fellow student and he sends a lot of these submissions, and them being anonymous, we never know exactly who sent them.
Right. Well, the goal for sending these as anonymous submissions would be that they would be sent to like school administration. So if the school administration feels that they need to take action to this particular situation, then that would be in the hands of them.
I have a question. Do you know how much money it would cost to make this app? Roughly.
I feel that I can probably get that to you at a later time.
Thank you. Are there any further questions?
Madam Mayor, I would like to ask a question. Would the app cost money? As in, would it be 99 cents or could it be a free app?
It would be a free app.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We will now hear from the Media and Community Relations Administrator. Please come up to the podium.
I would just like to remind everyone to please talk into the microphone and introduce themselves and their town position, just so everyone knows who they are. Thank you.
Mayor and Councilman, we will now hear from the town prosecutor.
Mayor, council members, my name is Zachary Green. I am the town prosecutor. And so the issue is not whether bullying is good or wrong. Most people can agree that bullying is not a good thing. Bullying, so the definition of bullying, there's no actual definition, no specific, no universally accepted definition of bullying. But most agree with the core elements of this definition. Intentionally aggressive, usually repeated, and power difference between the young people involved. And for many people, bullying is an issue for everyone, but bullying is very visible through kids 18 and under. There are many statistics. 44% of suicides for kids between 10 and 14 have resulted from bullying. And for people 15 to 24, there's a 6.9 rate for every 100,000 people that commit suicide because of bullying. This doesn't include the people who are depressed, who are affected from bullying. This is the suicide rate. Bullying is an issue. And even with people responding, people going up to authority, it says 17% of people anonymously have answered questionnaires saying they are bullied. And after that, 40% of girls and 45% of boys say that they still are continued to be bullied for over a year after all of this. So bullying is an issue, and we try to stop it. And I believe this app is a great way to work with us. There's no way to stop it, but we can always help. I am now open to questions.
Thank you. Madam Vice Mayor, are there any requests to speak?
No, Madam Mayor, there aren't.
Then I will now close the public hearing and bring this issue back to the council for discussion and possible action.
Madam Mayor, may I speak?
Yes.
I would just like to point out that I don't agree with a lot of this app. The fact that it's anonymous submissions puts the life of a potential bully in a very dangerous situation. For example, if this student is not very liked, he could easily have his reputation destroyed among school administrators by anonymous submissions piling up falsely, or if the situation is true submissions. However, that anonymous nature is very dangerous in my opinion. How can we monitor it? How can we prevent one person's reputation, especially amongst Gilbert Public School administrators, from being tarnished, from being ruined because of these potentially false accusations?
I agree with you. I believe that bullying is an issue in this town, but there might be a better way to combat it rather than an anonymous app.
Madam Mayor, I would like to speak. I believe that this app would be beneficial because people will be able to come forward with their verbal or physical abuse that they have been experiencing, and they would not be known, so they would not become a bigger target, making them more comfortable to come forward and let their administration know.
Are there any additional comments? I will now entertain the motion to vote upon this issue.
I'll second the motion.
The motion fails. So 4-3. We will now move on to agenda item number 4, Code of Gilbert, conduct hearing and consider adoption of an ordinance amending the Code of Gilbert, eliminating soft drinks and snack food in recreational facilities. And can we now please hear the staff report?
Mayor and Councilman, we have the Parks and Recreation Director and the Media and Community Relations Administrator. If we can have the Parks and Recreation Director come up to the podium.
Hello, Madam Mayor and Town Council members. I am Trey Levesque, and I am the Director of the Parks and Recreation Department. I am here today to present to you the feedback I have gathered about eliminating soft drinks and snack foods in our recreational facilities in Gilbert. We are asking to do a pilot program to try this program called Human Healthy. The human part of the program stands for Helping Unite Mankind and Nutrition. We are trying to incorporate this program to see the effects of its aspect on our community. We are asking to replace all of the current vending machines that we have in our recreational facilities and replace them with a healthy alternative, the Human Healthy, for 6 months. Through this, we plan to track the revenue of the new machines and then compare the two side by side to see what we want to do afterwards. First, I'd like to show the health aspect of this. In the last 30 years, children obesity has tripled, from 6.5 in children ages 6 to 11 years old to 19.6% today. A huge factor that goes into childhood obesity is the mass production of cheap foods, such as candy bars, soda, and other packaged high-calorie foods. We could potentially influence the people at our recreational facilities not only by their healthier decisions, this would help them make, but by lowering the chances of being at risk of having obesity and chronic disease. So imagine that we can make the same amount of money that we do today in our vending machines, which is approximately $75,000. With this, we get 20% of that profit, so we get approximately $15,000. With the business Human Healthy, we would be able to have 25% of the profits, meaning we would have an earning of about $18,750 a year if we still earn the same amount of money. With this, we would be earning an additional $3,750 more than we do today. And not only do we benefit from earning more money, all of the machines will accept credit/debit cards, making it more convenient for our citizens to purchase items. As for the products with Human Healthy, it has a variety of bars, snacks, beverages, and supplements to fit the most needs of our citizens. The machine has many of the same healthy products that we use today as well. Another reason that this company is very well is because it is special in the fact that they work with different companies to get products at the lowest prices, and then they put the merchandise into the machines themselves. Versus junk food, healthy food is not usually high in the bad types of fat and does not usually have as many calories as junk food. The machine itself also uses, by the way, 50% less energy than standard vending machines, so this would also help with money that we spend on electricity for Gilbert. Our team has been working and gathering information from people that go to our recreational facilities in the area to see if they're interested in a healthy alternative and of the foods that we have today. And our results show that about 70% of people want to have the healthy alternative. I would also like to point out that many schools, businesses, and other companies are using this program today and have a very positive impact on their community. When deciding what company, we found quite a few options, by the way. What made this one stand out to us was that it's had a great technology level to help our citizens, and the income we would be making would be higher, like I said before, and the products inside would be more likely to make our citizens want to buy them. Thank you. This concludes my presentation. I'd like to pass it on to the Media and Communication Relations Administrators before asking any questions, if that's okay. Okay.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor, council members, I'm Keely Quinlan, one of the town's Media and Community Relations Administrators.
And I'm Isabel Holloway, Media and Community Relations Administrator.
So first off, in order to get the community in town on board with having healthier options at their disposal, we would first, coming from the media standpoint, release a press release about the removal of unhealthy snacks and soft drinks in recreational facilities. And the reason we would do this is so that the town saw why we were taking away these sorts of foods and healthier options. We would give listings of what they could eat and what could make them a healthier individual overall. And the press release would just be there to describe why we were doing what we were.
Also, we will be using social media. We have Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and we will be campaigning hashtag #BeHealthyGilbert. So whenever we post on these social media websites, we will be giving options or suggestions. Instead of soft drinks or snacks, we will be giving like options. Like today you can drink like water instead of soda, or juice, or instead of like fruit snacks, you can have fruit. Instead of like Cheez-Its, you can have like a power bar. Just suggestions for like a daily thing, so people don't feel too overwhelmed that they don't have anything to eat.
Our overall goal is to just make sure the town of Gilbert knows that sugary drinks are not conducive for a healthy lifestyle, and that's really what Parks and Recreation is trying to promote, is a healthy lifestyle. Thank you. Are there any questions?
Madam Mayor, I have a question. How much would the healthier choice cost in production?
It will actually be free. They install everything.
Madam Mayor, I have a question. How are you planning to price the healthier alternatives in comparison to the previous snack food?
The pricing is about the same. I've looked into the business itself, and they would be willing to incorporate and talk to us about the different prices that we can incorporate. There's actually a few different options of different machines and prices of the snack items inside of them.
Thank you.
Now, how would we measure the success of this program?
We could measure the success of this program by comparing the amount of income that we get from the machines that we have right now, and then comparing them with the new machines that we might get.
Madam Mayor, I would like to ask a question. How much healthier would the healthy alternatives be? Do you have any nutrition facts?
I actually don't. My team has been working on that for a while. We are not exactly sure on that fact right now. We've actually contacted the company, but we would be willing to get back to you on that. Any other questions?
Thank you. Madam Vice Mayor, are there any requests to speak?
Yes, Madam Mayor, we have 5. Courtney Stowers will speak first, and Paige Fitzgerald will speak second.
Hello, Madam Mayor and council members and fellow citizens. My name is Courtney Stowers, and I am a citizen of the town of Gilbert. I am supporting the elimination of soft drinks and unhealthy foods in the recreational facilities in the town of Gilbert, because I feel that these items empower teenagers and children especially to make poor decisions for their health. From what I've researched, the childhood obesity rate is nearly 20% for children ages 10 through 17 in the state of Arizona. The idea that 1 out of 5 of my friends could potentially become obese and have serious illnesses such as heart disease at a young age really does scare me. I think that Gilbert's recreational programs are in place to give us opportunities for health and wellness, and I believe that incorporating these foods and choices within the facilities is kind of counteracting the good that the programs offer. I believe that if we give them healthier options overall, the community will be healthier and allow the citizens of Gilbert to live longer and in turn improve the community longer. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, Paige Fitzgerald will speak, and after her, Alec Leopis.
Good morning, Madam Mayor, council members, and my fellow citizens. My name is Paige Fitzgerald, and I am one of the members of the citizens. So I'm actually speaking against this act today. I know it's an unpopular opinion as of now, but please just hear me out for a couple minutes. So the first issue I'd like to address is obviously money. We cannot ignore that big companies such as Coca-Cola and well-known brands also, they bring in a lot of money. People are very familiar with them, and we cannot help to ignore this income that helps us actually fund more recreational purposes like all of the gyms and facilities. The money that we get from these companies help us support those that are really necessary for everything that we want to do. Also, we have to remember it's not our job to parent the kids. Just as we're not forcing these drinks and snacks into their hands, we shouldn't be forced to take them away, really. We've been talking a lot about child obesity, but we haven't addressed the fact that technology is on the rise. Even if we do take Coke out of recreational facilities, that's not going to stop a kid from sitting on their butt for 3 hours playing video games instead of going to the recreational park in itself. So when you think about it, actually, these big companies we're talking about taking away were around when obesity was at its lowest. Back when I was a kid, when my parents were a kid, Coca-Cola was still around. It was still popular. So I think that that's not even necessarily the main target we should be approaching for this. If it was really that horrible, I feel like it would be illegal. Like I said, it was around when I was younger. It was around when a lot of you were younger. And I think that kids shouldn't be victimized for working out and being active. I think if a kid's running around for 2 hours, sure, why not? Have a soda. Sure, why not? Have a snack bar. Have some Cheez-Its. I mean, we're already so concerned on weight and looks. I don't think at 5 years old and at younger ages you should feel victimized into thinking that you need to uphold such a healthy lifestyle. I'm not saying that you shouldn't have a healthy lifestyle, but you shouldn't be so worried about nutrition at such a young age when you should be worrying about having fun and playing and being rewarded for good decisions. And especially just decisions in general, that's not up to the snack companies and what we're putting in the vending machines. That's up to the parents to tell their kids yes or no, or even educate them, hey, this is a Coca-Cola product, this is what's in it, or hey, this is water, maybe you should think about drinking this 4 days of the week, and then the 5th day you're out here, maybe you can have a soda as a little bit of, good job for you. Like I said, I don't think that child obesity should be solely pinned on the snacks. I think that there's a lot more problems in our community that go hand in hand with that, and I don't think necessarily even these snacks are unhealthy and as horrible as we make them out to be. Like I said, it was around when I was younger, it was around when a lot of you guys were younger, and I think that we're really victimizing the wrong efforts, so thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have Alec Leopis and then Lena Hornlein.
Good morning, Mayor and council members. How are you today? Great, okay. My name is Alec Leopis, and unfortunately, I am a very concerned citizen. We should not be taking junk food out of recreational centers. Like she just said, that is not the real problem here. Another reason is it's restricting our freedom to choose. This is a free country and we should keep it that way. Again, like she said, it's the parents' job to tell their kids what to eat and what not to eat. The government shouldn't be telling us what we should eat and what we shouldn't. And my last argument is that this is a slippery slope. If we take junk food out of recreational centers, what are we going to do next? Take French fries out of fast food restaurants, or even get rid of fast food restaurants in general? Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have Lena Hornlein and then Henry Hong.
Mayor, council members, my name is Lena Hornlein, and I am a resident in Gilbert, Arizona, and also attend Gilbert High School. I feel strongly that the sugary snacks and soft drinks should be eliminated
eliminated from the recreational facilities in Gilbert because it does greatly affect our youth. The United States as a whole has had great difficulty in combating the problem of childhood obesity. Reducing the amount of opportunities where children can obtain these unhealthy snacks will dramatically increase the health of our children. Finally, it is the purpose of recreational facilities is to promote health, and because of this, we should encourage the healthy drinks by adding vending machines with juices and fruits. Thank you.
Thank you.
And lastly, Henry Hong.
Good morning, Madam Mayor and council members. My name is Henry Huang, and I'm a Gilbert citizen. My concern with the America's Recreational Department is the topic of elimination, of needing to amend elimination of soft drinks and snack foods in recreational facilities. In turn, we should increase the prices of these unhealthy snack choices and place a healthier, cheaper alternative to encourage healthier choices. I'm sure this will be a fine compromise. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Are there any more requests to speak?
No, Madam Mayor.
The public hearing is now closed. I will now bring this agenda item back to the council for discussion and possible action.
Madam Mayor, I would motion to amend to include healthy foods and in the recreation parks, and not to replace soft drinks and foods, but to include healthy drinks also.
I second that motion.
That motion fails 4-3. Would anyone like to comment on this issue before we vote on it?
Madam Mayor, I would like to comment. I favor the elimination of soft drinks and snack foods because as a community, we are encouraging health. If parents would like to give their kids that, they can buy them in the stores. They don't need to be on our facilities and in our recreational parks.
Madam Mayor, I would like to speak. I think it is beneficial in the end because it does not eliminate the ability of personal choice, but instead encourages a positive alternative. And as Councilmember just said, it's up to parents. It's not up to parents because in the end, we want to influence our children in our recreational systems. And with an increase of revenue and energy efficient machines, it can be nothing but beneficial. Thank you.
Madam Mayor, I would like to speak. I'm not very supportive of this movement because based off of what the Parks and Rec director said, that we get a $75,000 income, 20% of that income is our profit. However, he also did state that if we did move to this new high-tech, healthy option, that we would also lose 30% of the previous population. He said only 70% had that interest, and that's pretty worrying to me. I wouldn't want to lower revenue just to promote a healthy option, but also have to potentially reduce revenue to other recreational centers, other parks that we need to fund. I also am very shaky on the fact that we do not know the health benefits as of yet, how much healthier they are. We do not know that. We don't have that information as well. I also don't believe that when it comes to the students buying the foods, especially at a rec center at a young age, that money is not from them, it's from their parents, and oftentimes their purchases are regulated by their parents. For example, when a kid wants a treat, usually it's the parent that buys it for them. So it's ultimately, in my opinion, when it comes to small children, and that's our primary worry right now is childhood obesity, is that it is these parents buying these options. It is their parents' choice, and I'm not for limiting the people's rights to choose what they want to choose. Thank you.
Are there any additional comments? I will now entertain motions to vote upon this issue.
I motion to eliminate soft drinks and snack food in recreational facilities for the healthy choice.
I second that.
The motion passes 4-3. We will now move on to agenda item number 5, Code of Gilbert. Conduct hearing and consider adoption of an ordinance amending the Code of Gilbert to require sprinklers in residential structures. And can we now please hear the staff report?
Mayor and Councilman, we have the Assistant Fire Chief and the Development Services Planning Manager. If they can come up to the podium, that'd be great.
Good morning, Mayor and Council members. I am Fire Chief Ravi Gohel. We are here today to discuss the ordinance of mandating residential fire sprinklers in all houses built from now onward. Mandating these sprinklers in our homes could potentially save over 100 lives in our town. 153 house fires occurred last year, and the damage that occurred through these fires could potentially have been minimized using these sprinklers. The sprinklers can combat fires that occur in homes and is an unmanned and much safer way to combat fires. Because these sprinklers go off through the detection of heat, the homeowner does not actually have to be there and know that a fire is actually occurring for it to be combated. Therefore, it can be sustained before the homeowner is actually in any present danger. The cost of these sprinklers may be an issue. However, when the home is built, the cost would only be $1 per square foot of the house. The average 2,500 square foot home right now is $300,000. Therefore, the cost of these sprinklers would only be $2,500, which compared to a $300,000 home is rather minuscule. Considering that Arizona is one of the states where retirees stay predominantly, the elder population may not be able to move as quickly or be able to get out of their homes if a fire is present and they are in imminent danger. And therefore, these sprinklers could potentially stop the fires and give them more time to get out and in time for the firefighters to actually arrive and handle the situation. Gilbert also, for the money issue, insurance would also be lowered through the use of fire sprinklers, and therefore, in the long run, homeowners could potentially save money. Sprinklers would only go off through detection of heat, and in that one general area, so water damage is not an issue. If there was a fire in, say, the laundry room, the fire sprinkler would only go off in the laundry room and not throughout the whole house. Therefore, the damage through water would be minuscule compared to the fire, which could spread throughout the whole home. My colleague, Mr. Jacob Vautrebek, the planning manager, will answer any questions that you have.
Madam Mayor, I would like to ask a question. How likely is it that someone would trigger their own fire sprinkler and cause damage?
The odds of a fire sprinkler triggering without any effects from people touching them or hanging things off them or heat damage is 1 in 16 million of an accidental trigger without any provocation. Now, if someone hits it or hangs clothes off it or something, as can be seen in hotels at times, they will trigger it, but that's their own fault at that point.
I also have a question. Will this be included in only new houses being built right now? And if not, what's the average cost of putting these systems in houses already built?
The average cost of putting them in houses already built is closer to $4 or $5 per square foot, so it'll obviously cost more. The way we are proposing this change is that only new houses will need it, and pre-existing houses, it will be the owner's choice whether or not they want to.
Madam Mayor, I have a question. What about the technology that would be damaged from these waters that could have been avoided?
Technologies like that will often be covered by fire insurance if the owner of the house has it. And and if destroyed by water, the water will only trigger in a room with a fire in it, so the technology was likely to be destroyed in the fire anyways.
Madam Mayor, I have a question. Will putting these fire sprinklers in new homes raise the property value?
Actually, yes. There are multiple examples of current developments that put these in and then advertise them as a feature of the houses and will use it as a resale value point.
Madam Mayor, I have a question. Have any other municipalities implemented this change, and has it proved effective?
Yes, the community of Scottsdale has, and we can see that, yes, it has proved effective in helping to stop fires.
I also have a question. How will people of lesser income pay for this?
Well, since it is only mandatory in houses being built, it will be the developer's responsibility to put in. And as I've said, people of lesser income who already own homes will not be responsible for implementing them.
Are there any further questions? Thank you. Madam Vice Mayor, are there any requests to speak?
Yes, Madam Mayor, we have two. Alyssa Ferguson will speak first, and then Drew Malmberg.
Good morning, Madam Mayor and council members. I'm Alyssa Ferguson, and I am actually against requiring fire sprinklers in homes because they add to construction costs. They don't look appealing, and Gilbert is a growing community for families, and families tend to have little kids, and little kids do tend to throw things around. So they would actually throw things at that, and then they would trigger the sprinklers to go off. And fire sprinklers they won't actually help get rid of grease fires or electrical fires in the homes. And if somebody is out of town, the fire sprinklers will actually keep supplying water onto the house. And if they're out of town for a few days and the fire sprinklers are going off, it'll actually cause flooding to the house. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
And next, Drew Malmberg.
Morning, Madam Mayor, council members. I'm here because I support the change to make fire sprinklers mandatory in new houses built. I'd like to start with a story of some friends of mine. It was their 15th anniversary, and they went out for a night by themselves to enjoy. They left their kids at home, unattended, and when their kids were there, they wanted to make something to eat. So they turned the stove on, they put some pots and pans on the stove, and threw food there. Then, a couple minutes later, they walked away from it and left it unattended. Eventually, it caught on fire and spread to the whole house. The kids did not know what to do, and they ran to try and find their parents, but they weren't there, so they just hid in the house. Then, the house burnt to the ground, and both children died. So, when the parents came home, they came home to a burnt-down house and no children. If there were fire sprinklers in the house, they would have triggered when the fire went off, and the children's lives could have been saved, and the house would have still been there. While there are cons against it, saying that it is more expensive for fire sprinklers to be put in, it offsets costs by it will limit the use of materials as building the house because they won't have to use fire-resistant things in the house, and also it would be a perk to the house because it's a safety type thing, so it stops fires. And then also they say that they're unsightly, they're bad to look at. There are several different types of fire sprinklers that could be used. For example, there are some that, when triggered, they pop out of the ceiling or walls, so they wouldn't be noticeable anytime else. So they are a good thing to use, and thank you for your time.
Thank you. Madam Vice Mayor, are there any more requests to speak?
No, Madam Mayor.
Then the public hearing portion is now closed, and I will bring this agenda item back to the council for further discussion and possible action. Logistically speaking, I'm wondering how we would police this requirement for the houses, and if we would find those who did not abide by this law.
Can you repeat that, Madam Mayor?
How would we police this requirement for house building? And would we find them if they did not include sprinkler systems in the new houses being built?
Mayor and Councilman, we have the Developmental Services Planning Manager who would could come up and answer some questions for you.
Mayor, to answer your question on how we would police it, we do, in fact, in the city have an inspecting department, and we would treat it just as any other building code. So inspectors go to new projects regularly to inspect whether or not they're keeping up to date with these codes, and that would be the way we'd police it. If they're not, there's a system of fines and such.
Okay. And how do you think this would affect real estate costs by increasing the price of the houses?
Well, the increase of price is minimal, and there's actually an advantage to having fire sprinklers. With the addition of fire sprinklers, these developments are allowed to have smaller roads and allowed to put houses closer to the curb, which means that given enough houses doing this, they could actually build more houses in the development, increasing their profits, because now they have more of these, $300,000 houses to sell. So it can actually increase the value of the land for these developers.
So you do believe long-term it will increase the benefits for Gilbert?
I do indeed.
Thank you. Are there any more questions for Mr. Botchebek?
Madam Mayor, may I ask a question? So you said that it was improved in Scottsdale?
Yes.
Can you tell me exactly how?
It can prevent fires. I don't actually have specific figures, but I can get back to you on that.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you. I will now entertain motions to vote upon this issue.
Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a motion. I move that we approve this change to implement fire sprinklers in residential areas.
Madam Mayor, I second that motion.
The motion passes 6-1. We will now move to agenda item 6, technology, conducting hearing and consider the possible installation of wireless internet in Gilbert. And if we could now please hear the staff report.
Mayor and Councilman, we have the Economic Development Director, the IT Director, and the Budget Director. If you can come up to the podium, thank you.
Good morning, Madam Mayor and Council members. I'm Rachel Stowers. I'm the IT Director.
I'm Jonathan Gonzalez, and I'm the Budget Director.
I'm Albert Godleski, and I am the Economic Development Director.
Today we are going to be talking about free internet service in Gilbert. The current internet service areas are the libraries, the recreation centers, the Gilbert Community Center, and the municipal buildings. They are areas where citizens can come and they can go online and they can enjoy the internet. I am proposing that Gilbert allows free internet service in areas such as either the town of Gilbert, the town facilities such as Public Works, South Area Service Center, or others, the pools or the parks. The pros of providing Wi-Fi in public places is a productivity tool for business owners and residents. They can check email, they can research internet information on the internet, and businesses like food vendors can process credit card payments while at town facilities. Providing Wi-Fi in public places improves a resident's recreational experience. They can watch movies at the community center. They can participate in social media while at town facilities, and they can also stream music while exercising, playing sports at town facilities. It also helps the community's image. It portrays the town as a technology-savvy community that promotes the image of being a leader in STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math. It is also a cost savings for residents. Residents will not have to use their data plan while at public facilities, and that saves them money. also is accessible for children and young adults. Children with Wi-Fi devices such as iPod Touch can go online onto the internet while at town facilities. It also helps us to achieve the goals laid out in the digital roadmap, giving access to all of the residents. They can use social media as a presence to engage Gilbert residents and customize experience. They can launch the Town Mobile Apps Hub, and it is also a user-friendly website. I believe that the pros outweigh the cons on this subject here, and now I'm going to turn it over to the budget director and the economics director.
Thank you. I apologize if this is difficult to read. I will explain the items on this table as they apply. So what this proposes is 3 plans: the low-cost plan, the moderate-cost plan, and the high-cost plan. And the moderate-cost plan involves installing facilities to implement Wi-Fi at pools. The high-cost involves parks, and low-cost involves buildings. So as you can see here, there are 2 associated costs with each, except for the low-cost plan, and that is per 5 years and monthly. So those costs can be seen on there. And also in the last column, you see it has been calculated how much burden this would place on the individual taxpayers, because these costs would be implemented as additional tax directly on the citizens of Gilbert. And as you can see, for each of these plans, the tax burden is relatively low on the individual taxpayer, and it should be noted that these figures have been calculated assuming 70,000 taxpayers. Also, for the high-cost plan, it needs to be mentioned that what is shown is a minimum cost, and that it could actually cost much more, such as up to 100,000. And if this happens to be the case, then that would come out to about $1.40 for the individual taxpayer, which may be too expensive. So for that reason, the high-cost plan would probably cost too much, but the moderate or low-cost, as you can see, is fairly reasonable, and the individual taxpayers would not ultimately pay very much themselves. Thank you.
I'm sorry, and just again, what did the low cost represent, and the high cost and the moderate cost?
Low cost represents installing Wi-Fi in buildings. Moderate cost involves pool facilities, and high cost involves parks.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor, I would like to ask a question. Is low cost what we currently have now? Because you said previously that we have Wi-Fi in our business areas.
Low cost is not what we currently have right now. Low cost would be for adding on to the Wi-Fi to the other areas of the town, such as the buildings that do not already have free Wi-Fi for the residents.
Madam Mayor, I have a question. Would an internet service in parks or outdoor activities such as camping defeat the purpose of experiencing nature all on its own and interrupt family time?
That is a very good point, and that is one of the reasons why we are not recommending the high cost, but rather only the moderate or low cost.
Madam Mayor, I have a question. Do these costs account for the liability of monitoring these networks to ensure that no one hacks or compromises the entire network?
It would be an additional cost for that.
Would you happen to know how much more?
It varies. I'll have to get back to you on that.
Thank you.
And do you also have a total cost of what this would cost to the town and or the taxpayers?
Could you clarify that question, because I think that is covered here.
Okay, so like all encompassing having free Wi-Fi in all of the buildings, it would only cost $1,000 per 5 years?
Yes.
Madam Mayor, how would you get the taxpayers to agree to want to pay for this?
I believe that having free Wi-Fi would improve the taxpayers' experience in Gilbert, and I believe that they would be willing to pay for it.
Furthermore, as noted, those citizens with data plans would actually ultimately save money, as they would not need to use their data plans, or at the very least use them a lot less. So they would actually end up making more money from their unused data that they would be paying in tax.
Madam Mayor, I have a question. How would this affect our mobile devices, such as T-Mobile's company and AT&T and Verizon?
Through having free Wi-Fi in Gilbert, the residents would be able to just pay the price in their taxes versus paying to companies like Verizon or Sprint.
Madam Mayor, I'd like to ask a question. So are you proposing that the majority of the citizens in Gilbert adjust their telephone plan to account for this?
It depends on exactly how wide the plan would be covered. If it covered all of Gilbert, then they would definitely be able to get free Wi-Fi all throughout Gilbert. If it just covered certain buildings, then they would only be able to get free Wi-Fi there. But it would definitely reduce the amount of money that they would have to pay if it was all through Gilbert, although there would be additional costs for that.
Madam Mayor, may I ask a question? When it comes to your moderate cost and low cost numbers, and then you also say with approximately 70,000 taxpayers, as people load up onto this Wi-Fi network, would there not be a very large chance that the whole network itself would slow down? Gilbert municipality, very important businesses, management offices that we have today will be slowed down by the Wi-Fi being loaded on. Because as more people load onto it, would the broadband not be clogged as it continues?
That is definitely a possibility, and I will have to get back to you on that.
Are there any further questions? Then thank you. Madam Vice Mayor, are there any more requests to speak?
Yes, Madam Mayor, we have two. Courtney Stowers will speak first, and then Rodrigo Giacalini.
Hello, Madam Mayor and council members and fellow citizens. My name is Courtney Stowers, and I am a citizen of the town of Gilbert. I oppose the idea of implementing free Wi-Fi throughout the town of Gilbert. I don't want to pay for free Wi-Fi for everyone. I'm perfectly happy with the private and password-protected service that I have. I'm not interested in paying more money. Most people do have phones and data plans where they already have free Wi-Fi, and those who don't can go to the library or other already available facilities. I also believe that having public free Wi-Fi would cause security problems, especially for children. They might be exposed to something that they shouldn't be versus being in an environment where they can be monitored. So thank you.
Thank you.
And next we have Rodrigo Giacalini.
Mayor, council members, I'm Rodrigo Giacalini, and I have been a resident of Arizona for 9 years. I think that citizens in general would support the plan of public internet because you wouldn't have to pay for your 3G data plans when you go around in Gilbert, and though we may have private internets at home, many of us use our mobile devices elsewhere, and I think in general people would greatly support this. And it could make it easier for citizens of low income to be able to afford maybe cellular plans or even internet plans if they're significantly low income. And it could help some of our poorer members of the community that I think might need our help. Thank you.
Thank you. Madam Vice Mayor, are there any more requests to speak?
No, Madam Mayor.
Then I will close the public hearing and bring this issue back to the council for a discussion and possible action.
Madam Mayor, I would like to say something. I do not favor this item because parents already complain as it is about their kids always being on the internet. It's going to be bad enough if we have it everywhere around, and there will be no quality family time and become more of an annoyance and disturbance than it already is.
I'm afraid that the security problems might make the town liable if someone's information got stolen while they're on the residential Wi-Fi.
Madam Mayor, I'd like to speak. And also in regards of the tax, they said that the high cost would not be something that we're looking forward to in our budget. So they're saying that the low cost would be our most affordable option. And I do not believe that low cost and what we currently have now is enough of a gap to change.
Madam Mayor, I would like to make a motion. I move to not provide free Wi-Fi all throughout the town of Gilbert.
I second that.
I will now call for a vote. The motion passes 7-0. We will now move on to agenda item number 7, environmental services, conducting hearing and provide direction on collection of organic food waste from local Gilbert restaurants for use in possible community composting facilities. Can we please hear the staff report?
Madam Mayor and Councilman, we have the Public Works Director and the Economic Development Director. If you can come up to the podium.
Hello, Madam Mayor and council members. My name is Quaid Carroll, and I'm Public Works Director. And today we have that when food waste is disposed into the municipal solid waste stream, the food ends up in landfills where it is decomposable without air. This type of decomposition results in a gas byproduct called methane gas, which envelops the earth and traps heat. Approximately 1/3 of the methane gas produced on the planet is from landfills. And sometimes what sounds in theory is not always the easiest to actually make happen. There are a lot of factors to consider, cost being a major one. Collecting post-consumer food waste from restaurants requires that the restaurant carefully watch what is thrown away. They'd have to carefully that only the right organic materials is collected, otherwise it contaminates the whole bin being collected. Restaurants may have to purchase special containers made of material that can be composted, and we wouldn't want residents to go into these compost facilities in an area close to their homes, and it would be a high cost to the government to try to produce this, so we don't recommend it.
Mayor, members of the council, I have spoken with some of Gilbert's business leaders, particularly Ms. Morgan Davis, General Manager of Postino East, and Mr. Alan Fitzgerald, proprietor of Art Intersection, both businesses located in the Heritage District. And they do support the concept of organic waste collection. However, they have expressed concern over the frequency of possible organic waste collection as leaving such waste to weekly or even bi-weekly pickup could lead to foul odors and increased numbers of insects around restaurants and businesses. In addition to the concerns of our local business leaders, I would like to bring to the council's attention the impact that organic waste collection may have on chain businesses located in Gilbert. Due to the larger scope of these businesses, they are less likely to be supportive of such a policy, as they would have to implement it across multiple locations and it would cost them more money. Thank you. Are there any questions?
Madam Mayor, I have a question. How do you plan to mask the possible odor of these deteriorating foods in order to eliminate any pests or birds from attacking these landfills?
The primary way, well, the odors would not really be masked, but the collection sites where this waste would be stored until it is picked up by town workers would have to be somewhere farther away from the immediate vicinity of businesses and restaurants, that or sealed in airtight containers.
Do you have a projection of how much this would cost to the town?
I do not have those figures at that time, but I can get them for you.
Okay, thank you.
That concludes the staff report.
Madam Vice Mayor, are there any requests to speak?
Yes, we have one. Henry Hong.
Good morning, Madam Mayor and council members. I am Henry Huang and a Gilbert citizen. I am for the collection of organic food waste from the local Gilbert restaurants for use in a possible community composting facility. As Patrick Starr has once said, we should take Bikini Bottom and put it somewhere else. I fully agree for the notion of a community composting facility. We should take food waste and move it somewhere else, and what better way, what better place to move it than a community composting facility? Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any further requests to speak?
No, Madam Mayor.
The public hearing is now closed, and I will bring this agenda item back to the council for discussion and possible action.
Madam Mayor, I would like to speak. Based off of what's being said, I haven't heard any real good things about this. Smelly, disgusting, bugs everywhere. Businesses could not attract business anymore because it smells so bad. So far, nothing good has really been told about it, besides it being a good idea. That's my 2 cents.
I agree. I'd want to find out how much it would cost to implement this composting facility and the possible projections of what it would cost to businesses whose composting facilities this might deter business from.
Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to move this item to a further meeting until we get a cost estimate for the town.
I second that.
I will call for the vote. The motion passes 6-1. We will now move on to agenda item number 8, water. We will conduct hearing and consider adoption of an ordinance to limit the time on personal showers. Could we please hear the staff report?
Madam Mayor and Councilman, we have the Public Works Director and the Public Works Water Resource Manager. If you can come up to the podium.
Good morning, Ms. Mayor and council members. My name is Max Plummer, and I am the Water Resource Manager for the town of Gilbert. And I will be arguing that we should not pass this motion to limit the time in the showers of our citizens. And as of yesterday, I was really unsure about this topic until I learned some surprising facts that I'm sure not a lot of us know a lot about. And the first one would be, when it comes to the consumption of water in the city of Gilbert, only 30% of the water used is for the inside the household. The other 70% is used for things like watering your lawn or any other outside activity. And so when citizens take their showers in the morning, the water is then recycled, which, yes, it costs money to ship the water off to the plants and recycle it. But then once it is recycled, it is as good as new water and can be put back into the water that we use. So when we recycle this water from the showers, it can go back into the shower, and essentially it could be using the same water every day, or it could just go to watering your plants. And if we were really trying to save on water, we wouldn't be trying to limit these citizens' ability to have the freedom to take as long of shower as they wish, because what we're wasting a lot of water on is actually watering plants, because people overwater their plants and trees by 300% sometimes. And that's very common in the city of Gilbert. So the idea of limiting the shower time for citizens is a little outrageous, because that would require the money to have some sort of organization to police this, which would require installing meters in every single shower in these, every home in the city, which is very unrealistic. Furthermore, a lot of citizens would not agree with the idea of limiting their rights as to telling them how long they can and cannot shower. So I propose that you do not pass this and you leave the citizens to choose how long they shower. Any questions? Okay, I will pass this over to my colleague.
So in the town of Gilbert, we have 4 pressure zones that support a population of 230,000 at a build-up population in later years of 320,000. And within this population, there is an average amount of a family of 4. And within the family of 4, there is about 400 gallons per day of use of water. And with the water uses, some of the water uses are for drinking purposes, cooking, restroom, cleaning, vehicle, vegetation, laundry, schoolwork, and activities. And with all of that, most of the usage without the shower adds up to about 84 gallons. So that leaving 16 gallons for shower use. With an average fixture, they put out 3 gallons per minute. So that would leave you with less than a 5-minute shower. So I would not recommend regulations on restricting water usage.
Thank you. Do either of you see any benefits to limiting shower time in the community?
I don't see the benefit in limiting it. If we just let it be, it's actually going to bring more revenue.
I would like to add that it's not good to waste water. That's obvious. We live in a desert. Everyone knows that. But the benefits of implementing this restriction are far outweighed by the negatives that this would cause in the community.
Thank you.
That concludes our staff report.
Madam Vice Mayor, are there any requests to speak?
No, Madam Mayor.
Then the public hearing portion is now closed, and I will bring this agenda item back to the council for possible discussion and action.
Madam Mayor, I have something to say. I believe that we should have the choice to take however long of a shower as we would like because 1, it is recyclable, and 2, it's our water bill.
Madam Mayor, I would like to speak. I believe that we should not limit personal shower use because it's frankly impossible to limit specifically shower use or specifically shower to like personal hygiene, because if a person doesn't use a shower, they can always go to another water source such as a sink, and that would include having to put limits on toilets and sinks and washing machines, and that's just frankly impossible. Thank you.
Madam Mayor, I'd like to speak. We just had 2 experts come up here and say the same thing, that it doesn't have any effect, it's not that important. We spend water more on lawns, and that's very shocking to me. So I believe that there's no reason we should be limiting shower.
I will now entertain motions on this issue.
I motion to keep the amount of shower time to our personal.
Sorry. I will now call for a vote. The motion passes 6-1. This now concludes our Student Government Days Council meeting. I would now motion to adjourn the meeting.
I second that.
Thank you everyone for coming, and have a great day.